Myasthenia gravis is a chronic autoimmune disorder that affects the neuromuscular junction. In simple terms, the body attacks the communication point between the nerve and the muscle. The hallmark finding is muscle weakness that gets worse with activity and improves with rest. It's considered rare, but clinically important because it can affect breathing and swallowing muscles. The body produces antibodies that interfere with communication between the nerve and the muscle. The hallmark symptom is muscle weakness that worsens with activity and improves with rest. It's considered a rare disease, but it has a very recognizable pattern clinically. There's also a bimodal age distribution. It's more common in younger women in their 20s and 30s, and more common in men later in life, after age 50. Normally, acetylcholine is released from the nerve ending and binds to receptors on the muscle to trigger contraction. In myasthenia gravis, antibodies attack and block those acetylcholine receptor sites. The signal becomes weaker and weaker, so the muscle fatigues very quickly. That's why patients may start the day stronger and become progressively weaker with repeated activity. About 85% of patients have detectable acetylcholine receptor antibodies, and thymic abnormalities, like thymic hyperplasia or thymoma, are very common. Ocular symptoms are often the first clue. Patients commonly present with ptosis, which is eyelid drooping, and diplopia, or double vision. As the disease becomes generalized, weakness can involve the face, extremities, and respiratory muscles. Bulbar symptoms are especially important because dysphagia and dysphonia increase the risk for aspiration and respiratory compromise. One major clinical pearl: myasthenia gravis is a motor disorder only. Sensation and coordination remain intact. Diagnosis combines bedside testing, labs, imaging, and electrophysiology. The edrophonium test causes temporary improvement in strength, but atropine must be immediately available because of cholinergic side effects. The ice pack test is a simple bedside tool that can temporarily improve ptosis. Blood testing often shows acetylcholine receptor antibodies. Electrophysiology is highly valuable. Repetitive nerve stimulation shows a decremental response, while single-fiber EMG is extremely sensitive for diagnosis. Chest CT or MRI is also important to evaluate for thymic abnormalities. Now let's walk through the treatment ladder for myasthenia gravis. At the base is pyridostigmine, the primary first-line medication. It's an anticholinesterase drug that increases the amount of acetylcholine available at the neuromuscular junction, improving muscle contraction strength. One important nursing point is that this medication must be taken on a strict schedule because symptom control depends heavily on timing. If symptoms are not adequately controlled, immunosuppressive therapies such as prednisone or azathioprine may be added to reduce antibody production and slow the autoimmune attack. At the top of the ladder are rescue therapies, like IVIG and plasmapheresis. These are used during severe exacerbations or crisis situations because they work more rapidly to reduce circulating antibodies, although the effects are temporary. Monitoring is critical with these therapies, especially for infection risk, hepatotoxicity, and leukopenia. Now let's discuss thymectomy. This procedure involves surgical removal of the thymus gland and is an important treatment option in many patients with myasthenia gravis. The thymus is frequently abnormal in MG, with thymic hyperplasia or thymoma being common findings. Thymectomy is the only treatment that may result in long-term remission in some patients, although improvement is often gradual rather than immediate. Ideal candidates are typically younger patients, especially those diagnosed earlier in the disease course. Preoperatively, patients are often stabilized with IVIG or plasmapheresis to reduce the risk of respiratory complications during surgery. And an important teaching point is that benefits may take months or even years to fully develop after surgery. One of the highest yield clinical concepts in myasthenia gravis is distinguishing myasthenic crisis from cholinergic crisis. Myasthenic crisis is caused by severe worsening of the disease itself, often triggered by infection, surgery, stress, or medication changes. Patients develop profound weakness of the respiratory and bulbar muscles, placing them at high risk for respiratory failure. Cholinergic crisis, on the other hand, is caused by excessive cholinesterase inhibitor medication. Although rare, it produces excessive cholinergic effects along with worsening weakness and muscle twitching. The key clinical takeaway is that both conditions are emergencies. Patients require immediate respiratory monitoring, ICU-level care, and readiness for intubation if respiratory status declines. When myasthenia gravis progresses to crisis, ICU-level management becomes essential. The biggest immediate concern is respiratory failure, caused by weakness of the respiratory muscles. Patients may suddenly lose the ability to ventilate effectively, so readiness for intubation and mechanical ventilation is critical. Pulmonary function monitoring is extremely important. We closely track vital capacity and negative inspiratory force because declining values may signal impending respiratory collapse even before oxygen saturation changes. Continuous monitoring also includes ABGs, electrolytes, and fluid balance. Even small metabolic disturbances can worsen neuromuscular weakness. Airway clearance is another major priority. Weak cough effort increases secretion retention, so suctioning and chest physiotherapy may be necessary. And one very important safety alert. Sedatives and tranquilizers can dangerously suppress respiration in these patients and must be used with extreme caution. One of the most important nursing concepts in myasthenia gravis is timing. Medication schedules must be followed very precisely because even minor delays can significantly worsen weakness. Patients often learn exactly when their medications peak and when symptoms begin returning, so tracking timing patterns is extremely helpful. Energy conservation is also critical. Activities should be scheduled during periods of peak medication effectiveness, when muscle strength is greatest. Rest periods should be planned before meals and strenuous activities, because fatigue can rapidly worsen swallowing and respiratory function. Nursing care focuses heavily on pacing, structured routines, and minimizing unnecessary physical exertion throughout the day. Now let's look at supportive nursing management strategies. Patients with bulbar involvement are at high risk for aspiration, so nutrition and airway safety become major priorities. Meals should be timed during periods of strongest muscle function, and patients are often safer eating upright with a slight chin-tuck position. Softer foods may become necessary later in the day as fatigue worsens. Speech-language pathology consultation is extremely important when swallowing difficulty develops. Ocular symptoms also require supportive care. Artificial tears may help eye dryness, while eyelid taping, prism glasses, or eyelid crutches can improve severe ptosis or diplopia. Patient education is another major nursing responsibility. Patients should learn to avoid triggers such as stress, infection, overheating, and contraindicated medications because these can precipitate exacerbations or crisis. And finally, connecting patients with long-term support systems can significantly improve coping and quality of life. To bring everything together, successful myasthenia gravis management depends on maintaining patient stability through multiple coordinated strategies. Medication timing must be extremely precise because even small delays can trigger worsening weakness. Respiratory vigilance is critical, especially monitoring vital capacity and negative inspiratory force for early signs of respiratory decline. Energy conservation also plays a major role. Patients should plan activities around periods of peak medication effectiveness and avoid unnecessary fatigue. Environmental adaptation matters as well, including dietary modifications, aspiration prevention, trigger avoidance, and supportive ocular care. Ultimately, managing MG is not just about suppressing antibodies, it's about careful daily coordination of medications, energy use, airway protection, and long-term nursing support. Myasthenia gravis is an autoimmune disorder of the neuromuscular junction caused by antibodies attacking acetylcholine receptors. The hallmark finding is muscle weakness that worsens with activity and improves with rest. Common symptoms include ptosis, diplopia, dysphagia, and generalized weakness, while sensation remains intact. Diagnosis commonly involves antibody testing, ice pack testing, and repetitive nerve stimulation studies. First-line treatment is pyridostigmine with immunosuppressants, IVIG, plasmapheresis, or thymectomy used for more severe disease. The biggest emergency is myasthenic crisis, which can rapidly lead to respiratory failure and requires immediate airway monitoring and possible intubation. And one of the most important nursing priorities is strict medication timing, energy conservation, and aspiration prevention.